Ooh, Deeply Awake Chats 2017, and do I have a good one for you? Wow, I didn't, honestly, I did one, like, it just a couple minutes. I'm so OCD. I'm OCD enough that this is more comfortable for me, this amount of asymmetry, but it's not easy for me to booty scoot, okay? But I thought, well, to achieve symmetry and some sort of peace in my little OCD brain, I gotta have to scoot my ass over onto my bed more so I can be underneath that tapestry. It can be right there. Well, I did that, and then it only goes to there. It's like, oh, fuck. So here I am. All right, that, oh my God, that's not fun to live with. It isn't. And it's this lack of symmetry that I didn't even realize that was driving my OCD. I didn't know. But I don't know, like 2008 or 9, I started looking at crop circles a lot again. And it helped me so tremendously. So I'd go to work and I'd get on sites and I would print off in color stacks. And then I would flip through because they soothed me in a way that nothing else did. And as I did this, I realized what I had been craving was symmetry. And I finally felt at peace. My soul felt at peace, like something that was never in the groove, had always been wobbling, laid down, and I felt better. So why am I talking about symmetry? I mean, symmetry, symmetry, I think, is the all. For me, God is the physics that cannot argue with itself. Perfect harmony. Perfect. And knowing that place, and getting there more and more in meditation, but always having walked around with it, denying it, trying to get by. And so I see that this has been a lifetime for me of self-denial, of fear, of self-repression, of fear. Primarily fear of anger, fear of disapproval. I'm entitling this one Raw Honey because I encountered a song, actually, when I was out in LA, that, you know how sometimes you hear a new song and you're just like, whoa, where have you been all my life? And in it, she talks about loving somebody whether she has permission or not. And at the time when I listened to that, it was a revolutionary thought. She can do that? That's really powerful. I don't do that. And so this has been a sort of a lesson plan for me, in a way. Getting to the place where I'm realizing continuity. What does that mean? I'm feeling continuity. Well, it means that I can see forward. And I don't know, I wasn't able to see. I wasn't able to believe physically in the future. It was something that was removed from me when I was a girl and I was just starting out in nursing. I encountered too many stories of people who were perfectly fine, going about their business. I worked neurotrauma, and then the hand of God came down and changed them. And I was, I think, 17 or 18 or 19 when I took that job and worked there for a year. I worked night shift, and so I worked with the comatose. And boy, did I learn. And I heard a lot of stories. And I learned a lot about discontinuity, about the impermanence of life, and about the absolute foolishness and shallowness and stupidity in believing that tomorrow is going to be the same as today, that it's going to be better. It was gone. It was gone. And then I had ample proof that there was something wrong with me, and people didn't want to be around me. They kept rejecting me. And it started before I left for nursing school. That was one of the reasons I left for nursing school. I was so deeply in love with somebody, and he shut the door very casually, and it was a vault, and then he spun the tumblers. Okay, well, now what do I do? And for me, that was like, I literally forgot who that was. I wiped so much of my memory out. It was just too traumatic. It was right after I'd encountered those people with broken lives. Stories that they certainly, given what I was having to do to and for them every night, nothing they would have chosen. It was a lot to try and figure out, you know. And I think that this discontinuity actually was something that I believed in much, much earlier. And my level of trust was just decimated by the time I graduated nursing school, I think. Nursing school really helped to heal me in a way, because I saw that I could make people better. And I could make myself better, finally. And I wasn't dependent on anyone else's whims or needs or path. So, I'm looking back on all this now. Partly because I've really had this theme in my life for about 5 years that I'm gonna die. And I have. I've had near-death experiences. I've had a lot of them. I had a lot of really, really, really close calls. Both in illness and in health. So, death doesn't scare me. Death is like a relief. It always has seemed like a relief, because at least then I'd have continuity. At least then I could go home. And I never went home. Not completely. And now I'm realizing the truth is I never left home. I've always been home. It's always been inside of me. Just like Dorothy, right? So, this continuity. Matt Kahn did a thing around the time that I saw him, and that was, I think, in 2015. Might have been, yeah, I think it was 2015. And he did a piece around that time, and he encouraged people to just, I don't know, the way that he did it was so beautiful and so sneaky, because I was left with this task. to find a word to say, I am whatever. And I blank myself. I love myself. I accept myself. Something along those lines. Just, what would you say? And I tried on I love myself, and it was like, yeah, bullshit. I respect myself. Yeah, bullshit. I approve of myself. Bong. That was my ticket. And it's more and more my ticket. I approve of myself. I don't care if you do. I approve of myself. I approve of my conduct. I approve of my past mistakes. I approve of my body. I approve. My environment. I approve. At the time, it was just saying those words, I approve of myself. It was like having a really dried up flower, get some water in that pot, and suddenly it wasn't a stick anymore. It was a beautiful sunflower. I approve of myself. Well then, there is this other to think about. Do I approve of them? And often the answer is no. No, I don't approve of that. I don't approve of that behavior. I don't approve. I don't approve. So, does that matter? No, it doesn't change anything one whit. Never has. To stand in opposition of something? To stand in argument with something? Yeah, you know who suffers? Well, after 56 years of being in argument with my reality, I can assure you the only person who loses in that situation is self. On a strictly biochemical, electromagnetic level. So it's a lot to have to struggle against when you're not approving of yourself. Can you imagine? But I didn't. Not at all. And then now I'm realizing, okay, well, I approve of myself. And so yesterday, I got to tell you, it's been a crest. There's been like this, it's been a nexus time, and everything's coming together. And yesterday, I asked my kid, I was hanging out with him, and we were having so much fun. And I realized this nexus thing, it had happened, and so I asked him, okay, well, I want to ask you a question. Because I've asked him before, how do you describe me to your friends? That's always fun. But then you get all that social stuff. So I asked him yesterday if he could please take a moment to really go inside and then answer me this. What are you aware of? What's my essence? What's my song? What would you say if you and it's very beautiful to have someone in my life who I have known a long time, who I've sacrificed for and shown up for and been honest with and done the time with, who stands up and meets me. Because he thought about it and said, you're free. Really? What does that mean? You don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. You're free. Holy shit, Sam, really? You think I'm free? Yeah, Mom. Yeah. You're free. So I asked him for specifics. I asked him, and he told me, and he showed me, and I understand. That is a tremendous gift to be handed. That's all I've ever wanted. It's all I've ever wanted. truth is, it's all I've ever been. People I have loved so, like, down into my atomic structure. I don't walk with them. I don't even correspond. I'm in estrangement with some. So it was really weird yesterday to see that continuity and this approval. And I realized today, well, here's the thing. I know that I am forever safe. You want to know how? Because I do approve of myself, and I always have. I've been really good at abdicating that approval. But a part of me has always been in just utter love with myself and deep, deep protection. And this is the part of me that is now riding point. It's what I talked about my very first tape of embodiment. And I said the word wrong, but what I meant was riding point. Who's going to ride point? Is it going to be the small, crumpled, harmed one who can do nothing but see harm everywhere, being handed a rose and being suspicious of it? Oh, God. Well, honey, you've been through what I've been through. You'd be suspicious too. You would be suspicious too. That is a coping skill. Not only that, it's a survival skill. But it's survival skill if one does not have boundaries and is not comfortable with the word no and doesn't know their own preferences. Ooh. Because a part of me, I'd meet somebody and think, oh no, not again. And I would feel myself sort of step aside, and this bigger thing that we would create would sort of be my way. And when I'm connected with someone and really grooving with someone, I feel I'm obviously more than I was. It's an amazing thing. And the only place I want to go with that kind of love is forward. Into discovery, into exploration, into physical release and emotional bliss, and I don't know, it's so fun. But friendship is fun. Friendship is just, oh my God, it's like a temple. Some friendships are like cathedrals. And so it's been my desire always to have a long-term sexual relationship with a friend. Yeah, good luck with that, Kath. Sure. Want to cross, baby? All right, here you go. So that's been fun. And an astrologer told me, Michelle Karen, oh my God, I got to go back and see her. I just reviewed my notes again. And she mentioned my unusual, well, I don't know, it's not that unusual, my relationship history. And then, truth be told, I didn't really need to do karma with one person. And anytime they got karmic, I was like, whoa, ow, gotta go. See you around. And I just didn't get involved. I didn't get stuck. Well, it's because I was already stuck. I was already stuck. So it's been a period of seeing not so much, I kept talking about like absorption. I'm just going to absorb it all. It's kind of like that, but now I'm feeling overlays lift physically, and I realized today as I was laying in bed and just kind of getting physical, there are places I'm not going to be able to go anymore. Within my own thinking, within my own body habitus within my own emotions. There's just places I don't want to travel anymore. And it's not that I don't want to travel. I can't. And that's new. I've never had that kind of division before. I've always felt like, if you're deep in misunderstanding, well, we're on the same planet, so, and if you're right in front of me and you're a player in my life, well, then I gotta deal with you, right? And there was a lot of that, and many reasons for that. But now I'm realizing that it really is a cooperative thing, and that if I'm in better accord within what will be occurring and has been occurring and will continue to occur, makes sense. Are the things that come from approval, from self-approval and self-love and self-knowledge. And if I'm approving of myself, I approve of myself because I'm happy, I'm pleasant, I am a giver socially. Those are things I really approve of. I'm sexy. I'm alive. And yet I'm 56. I have a tongue. I have a mouth on me. I'm free. All these things, it's like, okay, well, here I am. And I am that I am that I am. I'm not going to be making a lot more sloppy decisions, because I'm not going to be doing things I'm in full disagreement with. Okay? And I was doing that. I did it a lot. And talk about duality. So, I like these tools because they're very... So I was going to do a talk yesterday about the paradox of approval. It came to me in the bathroom at the sink, and then I was driving, and there was a lot going on yesterday. And literally at the end of it was fucking weird. Like around 8:30, I was completely laid out. I needed to get to bed. And I'm grabbing my stuff to go into my room, thinking, like, it all came back to me, and I realized what had just happened during the day, and that it really truly was a lot, but it all felt like a dream, like a good dream. It was weird. So yesterday I'm realizing that, this idea of love is a big one for me. Obviously, it's sort of like, God, I'm such a romantic. And such a hothead. And oh my God, my chart is so messed up when it comes to love. Oh well. Oh well, who cares? It's fun. It's free. It's pastime. In the past, for me, there was always, in every relationship, there was always that moment when I could really, really, really see and I saw that love there was very self-serving and self-centered and tone deaf, and that I wasn't even in the room, and that we'd created something, but we'd done it without my having spoken. That this wasn't me. It wasn't loving. It didn't feel good. But I would just abdicate myself in the face of love. Abdicate myself. And then, I'm the tool of whoever I'm with, then, I can be a very wicked person, can't I? That's not someone who's free. That's someone who's just a prisoner being handed to jailers. And that's a theme of mine. And I don't want to live that way anymore. In someone else's prison cell. Man, I've spent a lot of time in cells. And, I know that's from the great-grandmother lifetime, and that have I broken it? Well, you can't be locked in a prison cell if you don't walk into one. And it becomes less of an issue and less of a palette from which to paint if I choose not to walk past prisons. Right? Am I free? Am I free? I've always been free inside. Always. They could do whatever they were gonna do. Yeah, go ahead and do it. And why don't you feel justified doing it too? Do that. And then tell me that I deserve it. That I earned this. Do that. And multiply that by years and years. I mention it because it had an impact and I've healed from it. It's not the filter anymore, and it used to be. It used to be. Knowing that I couldn't say no. That was the only rule. Let this person show you their world, their reality, their lives. And then I had this relationship where I actually showed up. It was great. But the roles were reversed. So in the end, it didn't work out too good. So it was very hard to love someone who was in prison. And I think that I am understanding more now just about my psyche and the themes. And for my kid to say, you're free. So I'll review it. Just for old time's sake, okay? Quickly. Very quickly. I say it because it may impact you. It might be worth your time. Because it was like a gift that was delivered just because I learned some things and asked some questions, okay? Here I am in the middle of all this transformation, all this change, and I continue to have visions of prisons, and I was actually in jail for 8 hours during this 5-year process. I resonate with Paul and the writers of the Gospels, and it's a very, 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 it's the only phobia I've ever had in my whole life. That's the only phobia I've ever had, is being in prison. If I wanted to really scare myself, like on a Saturday afternoon when I was putting clothes away, listening to music, I'd think about going to jail. And it would just completely chill me. So it's a very large theme. And I'm referring to like when I was a teenager forward. Okay? Is this something that you go around talking about? No. Thank God for YouTube. So I wound up going to a training from Enrique Boron, who is a founding father of biological decoding. And part of this is to do a very thorough genealogy. And so he explained that the great-grandparent level, often there's a very large conflict that occurs. There's a trauma or something that occurs that is fundamentally big. Usually something that people don't want to talk about, or is sort of held in reserve as something that's and he explained a couple people who were going through, they had one lady had a migraine in the back of her head all the time, and she was going for medical treatment and she couldn't get help, and it was debilitating. So she went to Enrique Boron. He did a review, great-grandparent level, and then there's all this, the words, they're like Spanish words for their names, for her name and for the great-grandfather's name. But these words were so obvious. Torture, confessing, under torture. These were words in Spanish that were part of these two people's names. One of the implements of torture that was part of the name was a device that would be attached to the neck, and a screw was put in, and it would drill into the back of the brain. Can you imagine the pain? Can you imagine the pain? And in that person's genealogy, yes, indeed, that person confessed under torture. It was some war. All right? So, excuse me, I get done with my time with Enrique Boron. I go home and I'm talking to my dad. And I ask him, because he's, oh my God, that side of the family, Nutbag City. Oh my God, that's a crazy town. And it's so fun. It's just like, wow. It's a circus. So I asked him, okay, so tell me. I want to know about my great-grandparents. I have a theory I'm testing. So what do you know about great-grandparents? And boy, 3223. He told me a poem that he wrote that basically was a very naughty expression of his absolute joy that that bastard was dead when his great-grandparent died. His great-grandfather. He was evil. He was evil. And it turns out great-grandma, well, she had a stroke, you see, and it left her mute. She had aphasia. And great-grandpa locked her in the basement and kept her prisoner for the rest of her life because he was ashamed. Ha! Ha! I heard that one. What the fuck? Well, that explains because I'd gone through a week of learning about, all this stuff. That explains the dyslexia. That explains so much about this imprisonment stuff and this theme that always goes through everything, and of betrayal in relationships and being powerless, and not being able to communicate. Jesus Christ. So it's like all the gongs went off. Do you know what kind of a relief it was to hear, and even now thinking about it, that my son was asked a very, very, very profound question about my identity and my expression, my signature. And the only word he chose, he didn't choose any other descriptors, the only word he chose was that I was free. Well, I'll finish this talk up by telling you, I have great grief for not being able to love, to not being able to love. I see certain things, I see what certain people do, and my heart shuts off. Talk about discontinuity. It's so unpleasant. When I feel so much love, even for my captor, especially for my captor, I see some of the wickedness and I stop loving. I shut it down. I've talked about feeling patchy. I've talked about just turning the juice off, and not liking that, and seeing that that's actually very physically damaging to do, and it's not nice, and it's a technique I learned long ago, but I have to rework it now, because at the time it was, hey, listen up. Bless it and release and move on. You stay too long at the fair. And I was. I was trying to fix things that were unfixable. And I was trying to love people who did not want me to love them. Oh, that's fun. So this idea of, okay, so if somebody doesn't love me and I still love them, what do I do? Because yeah, my heart can turn off, and I can know it's just really not safe. But the truth is, my heart is always still blossoming. I wouldn't have chosen that person to sit next to had I not loved them. And that's what I realized. That's true of the person sitting next to me. They love me too. And it's been kind of coming back to me. It's the stop and start. It's the guilt and the remorse and the vengeance and the shame and the resentment and the anger and the it's actually physicalizing that event I had on Christmas Eve of 2012. Understanding fundamentally that we all love each other. Wait a minute. How do you explain what my ex-husband did to my child? That's not loving. And I refuse to engage energetically. And in that instance, that is the most loving response. Sometimes that is the most loving response. It depends on the degree of harm. And it's seeing harm where harm is actually right there. And not seeing it. Unless there's actual harm being done. And then to not see it is a form of insanity. And to allow it to continue is enabling harm. And I will not engage in that. And that's their shit. That's not my shit. That's me managing my energy and staying in integrity. But I can tell you, that blade is very sharp, and I don't use it often. I don't truth is, when I cut ties, the understanding is that the sword, it can't cut love ties. It's not able to. Love ties always remain. But everything else can be severed. Everything else. And there are times when that's appropriate. And the funny thing is that the person endures. The love does endure. There is continuity. Because before I would just go cut and that was it, and cut and that was it, and cut and that was it, and it was stop and start, stop and start, stop and start, stop and start. Who am I now? Who am I now? Who am I now? A very immersive experience. Oh my God. And now I just see that there's been a change and integration. And so, regardless, and I can say this from the soles of my feet, to anyone who thinks that they are one of my monsters, from the bottom of my feet, I love you. You're forgiven. I understand. All is well. I stand energetically with everyone like that now. It is such a relief. Yeah, I didn't please you and you didn't please me. And we decided to go our separate ways, and then you decided to date my friend. Or any number of other scenarios that I've seen of just things breaking up. Well, it makes me feel a little bit better, because now, okay, if I'm free, well, I think I want to hang out with people who are free. That makes sense. Didn't I say that essay at the special graduation? The first date I was going to do for, like, I don't know, it'd been 14 years, 12 years, something like that. Hadn't been on a date. I was going to go on a date. And I just happened to choose someone who was an ex-con, on Social Security, on disability, who had no car, and was in Section 8 housing. Yeah, a real winner. Now, I'm not saying that person isn't fine. Obviously, there was something there, because I wanted to sit down and talk to him and get funky. But the bigger part of me knew it was a mistake. And this is something that's always been part of the dilemma for me. No more. But to feel them, and to feel their desire and their recognition of a relief from loneliness, and that, yeah, this is good. To feel that, and then to see that this isn't going to work out. Because I'd realized that morning, this is a big mistake. This is someone who is not free in their environment. They're not free to travel. They're not free to spend money. They're not free to, they're not free. And that's somebody who I said couldn't bear my burdens or help me bear my burdens. Well, they couldn't go run and jump and play either. So, yeah, I think that's part of it, is seeing where people are free and where people are not free, where people are able to roam and where they're not able to roam in their own psyche, Well, that's very interesting. That's where friendship is. And then there's, hey, how free are you in your real life? How willing are you to take a risk? You want to go with me to the nudist colony for the body painting weekend? I'd never been there. You want to go? How free are you? How free are you to just pick up and go? It's one of the reasons I never really liked working. How free am I? I'm a prisoner. I don't like that. So this has been a really amazing time, but in the end, the gift is that I have actually, I feel like I can give a gift away today, and that is that I am so, I can really admit, and what am I going to do if someone who doesn't love me, or doesn't want to be around me, or can't stand me, and I still love them? What am I supposed to do with that? Am I forever going to hate myself and call myself a stupid girl? A romantic? A helpless, hopeless romantic? No. I'm going to look at that and go, oh baby, look at your heart. Look what you're able to do. You don't need anyone's permission to love them. Loving them can't hurt them. By now, haven't I learned that the only thing that hurts is the withdrawal of, the perversion of, the breaking of, the dismissal of love? And I've had a hand in that. I'm so good. I'm such a good destroyer. I'm a really good destroyer. Yeah, I got the keys of destruction and creation in my eyes. They go hand in hand. So I don't know. I'm going to call this raw honey, and I'm going to give it to you, and I don't even know what it means. All I know is that I love. And I'm going to love my accusers, and I'm going to love my abusers, and I'm going to love my esteemed friends. And I'm going to love what's in front of me. I'm going to smile and laugh at it. I'm saying all this in future, but I'm telling it to you because it's true. It's what I've been doing. I think that's worthy of a transmission. And look at my hair. Oh my gosh, look at, now you can really see. This is all natural. My hair used to be completely straight. These beautiful earrings, ooh, they're metal. I used to not be able to wear metal. Really, really awful skin things would happen. 28s, well, they became a little bit too snug toward the end. And now I'm, today, I have this really cute shirt on that has got, look, it's got fringe. And it's a midriff. And I'm wearing boy pants. So, and my house is awesome. I'm so proud of myself because I'm doing it. Even though it hurts like sin, I'm doing it. And it feels good. Every single day feels better. Woo. So look at what I did. I'm going to show you this and I'm going to get out of here, okay? I told you about the symmetry thing. Did I show you this? Did I do the symmetry thing? Yeah, I think I did. Okay, here it is. There. All right, did I say? I got that at a crayon workshop. It's a Lemurian sisterhood thing, and it's really special to me. And now across from my bed, ooh, it's Shiva. And over there in my meditation area where my altar is, there's a big old radiant Buddha. And he's a young skinny one, so he's not my favorite. He's just recovering from his time of being a badass. And the Pavarti's over there. And I have an Om symbol over here. You want me to show you all this? Let me show you. So there's my Shiva, and my Buddha, and my Parvati. And the bear, I haven't sewn for like... I think that bear started to break apart in his nose area, like when Sam was 5. So now I'll sew that for you. He's going to be 17 in a couple weeks. So I'm presenting him. Shh! Don't tell him. I'm going to present him that all mended up, and his mala that I've been slowly doing. And I don't know, something else that I promised him I would do and I didn't ever do. Sometimes it's because I didn't have the resources. Sometimes it was because I didn't have anything left in my heart. Being a mom it was so hard for me at times, and I was such a shitty mom, because it felt like I went from 12 hours of hungry little birds going, feed me, oh, by the way, you're the reason I feel like shit. Feed me. To coming home and having to do such heavy lifting by myself. And another mouse saying, feed me. Hey, you're the reason for my problems. Feed me. And he got the short end of my misunderstanding and my fatigue. And these little murmurations of neglect, I'm taking care of finally. And I'm feeling better about that inside too, 5151, because I did feel very abandoning and like you're on your own. And I always knew I would then hear a voice, and it would be like they would explain what was going on with the karmic lessons and the coding and the trajectory and all this. It's like, and then they told me one time, okay, the thing is that you don't ever want to like open up the jar all the way, take off the lid, bring him over, and say, look, this is what's going to happen. That's not the point. The jar is on really tight, and it's my responsibility to loosen it for him. But it's his jar. So that was helpful. All right, with that, I'm going to close. I want to thank you for your hanging with this. I know there are many who won't because it's so long, but I find it beautiful to be on this last part, to feel the continuity, to know it's okay to continue to love regardless of whether someone is able to meet me or not. So many people want to, and they stop themselves, just like I used to, out of fear, out of self-protection. And for me, mostly because I had grown so comfortable in my cell. I'm a bit of a nester. I'd done a very good job. I like being free. So, I'll include the cut of raw honey. Enjoy.